and I welcome the opportunity to contribute to the debate this evening on the Garda Inspector's report. Minister, you finally, belatedly gave a conditional apology today for impinging the integrity of two fine Garda officers. You said in your statement, if any upset was caused, I hope that correcting the record today will put the matter to rest. You then went on to say, I apologise for any offence that may have been caused. I believe that this apology doesn't have much meaning. You were backed into a corner before you would deliver this apology, and it doesn't seem to be in any way meant. And the Labour Party trumpet themselves as a watchdog of this government. But it took a Fine Gael minister to call on you and former Commissioner Callanan to retract your statements, which sparked the series of events that has led to this. Or was it? It now appears to be obvious that the revelations about the bugging of Garda stations is the issue that forced the former Commissioner to resign. I wonder if the imminent disclosure of the transcripts of bugged phone calls through discovery in relation to a court case, if that was not happening, would we even be hearing about this issue today? Minister, your position is untenable. You're dealing with the whistleblowers, notwithstanding your conditional apology. Your undermining of GSOC, your use of confidential information against Deputy Wallace, and now the taped phone calls in Garda stations all show that you are not the minister to lead this department. In relation to the Inspector's report, the whistleblowers have been vindicated by that report, not by your statement today. From this report, it is now beyond reproach. If there was anyone bar you and the former Commissioner that didn't believe them at this point, John Wilson and Maurice McCabe made accurate claims regarding grave wrongdoings in relation to the fixed charge processing system. Not only that, but they went through the proper channels, contrary to what you had stated in the Dáil at the time, that the whistleblowers did not cooperate with internal Garda inquiries on penalty point cancellations. The Inspector's report states that the Inspectorate was told by senior Garda staff that but for the public scrutiny, the extent of the deficiencies within the fixed charge processing system would not have been detected. That is not down to anything that you have done in relation to these allegations. That is down solely to the proper work that was carried out by the Garda whistleblowers and, and the work that they have done in dealing with this. And it is now up to the Criminal Justice Working Group, made up of all the fixed charge penalty system stakeholders, to oversee and facilitate the implementation of the recommendations in this report. And judging by the report, they have an awful lot of work to do to rectify the shambles that is the fixed charge penalty system. In relation to yesterday's government statement, it now turns out that Letterkenny Garda station in Donegal was one of the 27 stations for which Gardaí in 2007 sought a system to automatically record telephone calls and radio traffic. Will we now see that convictions could be unsafe because of the illegal operation of this system in County Donegal as well as other parts of the country? And it's interesting when we look at the Morris Tribunal into the activities of some Gardaí in Donegal, that evidence was heard at that tribunal that Gardaí bugged the Letterkenny Garda station itself to listen in on conversations of detainees and people who were wrongly arrested in 2007. So these activities were known about for an awful long time. And the interesting thing about the Morris Tribunal, I remember that the only concern in official circles was to make sure that it was always emphasised that this was the Donegal problem. It was something up there and nowhere else in the country. And that was a lost opportunity for real and meaningful change within the Garda Síochána. Reform is needed from the top down, and it's needed to boost the morale of the force. An independent Garda authority would go some way to introduce that accountability. But also the future appointment of commissioners needs to be examined as part of that overall reform. We now know that there's so much more to this, and that overall reform is required to increase the transparency and accountability, and there are still so many questions that need to be answered. I don't believe that you are the minister to guide the needed reform through. By your actions, you have shown that you are not fit to carry it out. I recognise the fantastic job that the vast majority of Gardaí do on a daily basis in these difficult times. But we also know that much change is needed now, on a much wider scale than we could ever have imagined, so that the force can do the job it was supposed to be doing all along. Those many Gardaí that are working conscientiously to deliver effective policing deserve the proper reform of this organisation, and they deserve that reform to start now, and they deserve it to start under new leadership.